Season 1 of our Year 2 Rainbow Six PC Pro League. Loading on in this time over. Elevate on defense first. Currently choosing the bar and the cocktail lounge on that top floor, facing off against Continuum, who are bringing that sledge to glass to the table, but as previously noticed, no Montagne.
Yeah, no, I think if I were to guess, okay, well, yes, we were talking about earlier how they're probably going to play a little bit more aggressive. They're going to throw down the smokes to try and challenge and win the engagements. And Montaigne's, while he does bring smoke to the playing field, he doesn't bring a, I mean, gunfight-esque kind of aggression. He brings aggression, absolutely. He forces the playing field, he forces the defenders back. But that's not necessarily what the attackers are going for. They don't want the defenders to run away. They don't want them to push back. They want to challenge them. They want to throw down their gauntlet and be like, we're going to win this firefight, and you better deal with it. So that's what I'm seeing from Continuum right here. I'm really curious to see if it's going to pay off for them, or if maybe it's entirely possible that I'm wrong, and what is instead happening here is Continuum's just trying to shy away from the Montaigne meta. Who knows? You know, not everyone's really happy about it right now, to be honest, in the pro scene. But moving into the match now, it looks like Elevate's going to be having a heavy roaming presence, likely on this particular bomb site. That's kind of the point.
I mean, they wanted to give off the impression they did, if nothing else.
Yeah,
They've opened a lot of the windows downstairs. They made a lot of noise down there, but then have since brought all but Zed back upstairs.
Zed is one of the oldest roaming bandits in the game, so he has a lot of experience with this.
And he will get the first kill of the game. MVK drops down, taking that Ash out inside the kitchen. Zed can be very happy with that pick. He's cautious of any follow-up, but there isn't anyone else there. That's the rest of Continuum still pressuring the outside of the map.
That's a big operator, and moreover, a big player off the board already for Continuum. That's a lot of cards on the table for Elevate.
Okay. Jones heading up towards the piano room, heading up towards this top floor and checking out what's waiting for them on there.
This is what we expect to see. Because, you know, on most teams, what they do when they're attacking this particular bomb site is, well, they take piano. They go straight in through piano. And they had the aggression on the roamer downstairs, but now they're just trying to play it more what we expect to see and push their way into piano, get that wall open, and try and get the plant.
So as they head on in, Glaz is already inside that cigar room, checking his way across the bar, using a smoke grenade in the door to see what's waiting for him. As he then comes on in, Hibana will open that wall up right next to him, checks towards the next corridor and is aggressively peeking each of these angles. He has had this drone in there to help give him some of this information, keep an eye on what's coming this way. And they are starting to hem Elevate into these spots. However, they haven't done anything about that bandit that was downstairs yet. He's going to start slowly making his way back up somewhere soon. Will they be ready for him?
It looks as if their policy with this attack is to just simply try and ignore the bandit, given that they've already lost their their roamer hunter to him.
Slash up here above the trapdoor does get shown to Zed, who will tag him up but can't kill him off. But he's done his job. He's keeping Slash occupied, keeping him busy, keeping him watching this staircase and on this top of the roof now. As Gio uses his C4 to take down Young. There goes the Hibana. But Glaz using another smoke grenade has got himself inside the A site and picked up the first kill for the attacking team. On to the top of the bomb site, he's going to flank back and find Zed behind him. Canadian with 2. Looks for one more in the freezer, but England was waiting and is now flicked back to Cigar to keep cover on that angle. 2v3. Glaz did what he could to try and get the numbers back in. Slash peeks on him, and he won't win that fight. England with good SMG-11 play to finish off Slash. It means Necrox now has 3 to find on his own with 25 seconds to go. England tucked in the back of the freezer. He already knows about him. He has no idea about the other 2. He's got 15 seconds now to make the push, and well, he's inside a smoke grenade. It's going to loosen him up. Will get one onto Gio. Looks for the next one, but England's got a shotgun out this time, and it is round 1 in the bag for Elevate.
So, a little bit of a loss at the beginning of the round where they where NVK died to FPS Zed at the basement. Now that's their roamer hunter right off the board. It looked almost as if the droners for the roamer hunter weren't actually didn't find Zed, and NVK got caught off a little bit off guard. So that put CTM at a disadvantage early on. But moving into the future, they just simply decided to ignore the bandit from that point on. They didn't try to trade it back. They had no one in position to, so they had to take their time, what they had left, and focus it entirely on a piano push, and it just didn't work out. They didn't have, honestly, I feel like the lack of a Montaigne in that situation is what hurt them a little bit, and here we're seeing it again, no Montaigne. Now you have to wonder if there's something going on here that...
Well, I said it before. How do you get a Montaigne into this bomb site? You have to repel him through a window, in which case his shield is irrelevant, or you have to walk him up one of these staircases, in which case there's a smoke waiting there for you.
The predictable fashion to get a Montaigne into this particular bomb site is to drop him down red drop, or red stairs drop to be specific, which is the drop down above red stairs. But it's pretty easy to kill him in that situation. Maybe just stack a bunch of barbed wire at the bottom, then throw a smoke once he drops. He can't escape it now. Oh no. But you know, it becomes a question then of how worth it is it to invest the utility that is necessary, like grenades to get rid of barbed wire, flashbangs to get rid of ADS, or Thatcher grenades to get rid of ADS. How worth it is to invest the utility into simply getting a Montaigne into the building? Or is it just better to play another operator who can play more dynamically? And I think that's what the Glaz is in this instance.
Yeah, both these teams so far choosing to go with the other operator approach. Now we saw Canadian very aggressively using that Glaz, smoking every doorway, using that to one, cover his crossing, two, look through the smoke and see if he could pick up a kill someone wasn't paying attention, and did it very well, getting inside the site before anyone else, picking up 2 important kills. Now, as we mentioned, unfortunately his team had lost a lot of other people before that though. But it's a very effective use. However, Zed seems to, for now, be a little bit more cautious and slow as they are making sure the bottom floor is completely empty.
They have spent an entire minute checking that bottom floor, and they haven't made any progression up until just now. But it also seems like it seems like Continuum's not really going to punish them for it. They're not going to try and emphasize that roam hunt to try and hold them any longer. So Elevate just 1 minute off the board, and now they know no roamers on the bottom floor.
No, but they haven't checked the middle floor yet, and there's a pulse sitting there with, of course, that heartbeat sensor from the C4 underneath a lot of the plantable locations for these upstairs bomb sites.
Not just a lot of the plantable location, but a lot of the ground that you give the attackers by default, and that is piano and the piano bar, or even the coming out of red stairs into cigar. He can C4 all of that.
He did just catch a heartbeat on that, and it was, well, we know it to be Glaz. Sees one more in piano and sees one more rappelling up, feeding all of this information across to his team, of course. So they will start to know who is coming from where, or rather the numbers and where they're coming from. C4 up through the hole, did get heard, and it was avoided by everyone up and above that trapdoor. Zed using these smoke grenades, covering the door and covering Cigar himself to have a sight line in towards the bar itself. Smokes are starting to dissipate now though, and he hasn't really got a chance to use them for much more, as he was spotted by a camera and is having trouble trying to find it. As he does peek across now, the smoke just starts to tick away. Canadian makes himself known as he comes up from behind, takes down Gio, and he continues to aggressively come up. Zed's expecting him further down, and that gives Canadian another kill. He will finally fall, but he's done his job, taking down 2 with him, including that very powerful Glaz. England is low as he gets sprayed down through some smoke. Skies picks up a kill onto Young himself, but then will be traded out by MBK, who is traded straight back by England as well. He is inside the site, and the diffuser went down, but he's quickly killed off. Easily now up and above the trapdoor, sorry, above the skylight. He's in a 1v1 with Slash. Slash knows he's there. Slash is scared as those shots come in, but the flashbang is now going to drop down through the hole. Slash is sitting right next to the diffuser. Easily confident that he's not actually holding the diffuse here. Now he's going to give it a go. Flashbangs are still falling down through the top. He does peek just in time and easily gives Elevate a second round.
Now that was a really interesting plant by Elevate. What you saw there was they opened up the wall from piano, but they did not open the wall going into freezer. And I really like that decision, because oftentimes I find when a team is attacking that top floor, they open up the wall into freezer and then get caught off by a smoke playing in deep in freezer. They can't win against the SMG-11. They can't win against the shotgun. And even if they start progressing on them with like a Montaigne, they're just smoked out. There's no real option. There's no way to push in there. So what they did instead was they opened the wall to the left of that, and they pushed their way. They smoked it off, first of all, after that, and then they just pushed behind the bar and behind the tables, and they planted. And there was nothing really that CTM could do to stop them, especially after Pulse died on the red stairs.
All right, so we've switched up bomb sites. Elevate are forced to switch up bomb sites. Continuum knew this, still opted for no Montaigne. So they are going for this similar push, despite the less restrictive nature of this downstairs site.
Right. I'm looking to see from Elevate, I expect, or what I want to see from them is some presence upstairs, right? So what we're going to probably see from Continuum is they're going to try and take above and then start opening up the floor and shooting down at the guys in sight. So I want to see Elevate, I want them to maintain a presence upstairs, but I don't want them to sacrifice anything for it. Now, what oftentimes you'll see from a team in this situation is they'll play 2 people upstairs in piano, and they will grit their teeth and die in piano to the attackers rappelling on the windows. But I don't think that's the right way to go about it. I think the correct way to be going about something like this would be to have your guys upstairs try to stall as much as they can, and then have the people downstairs on the site level, instead of playing in the site, once the attackers have dominated piano, then have them, you know, flow out of the site, forfeit it, or just give it to the enemy team, and play for a retake. I've seen that work time and time again on this particular site. Playing for a retake, playing around lounge and just in, you know, the general red hall area has worked extremely well for a number of teams I've seen. So we'll see what happens, we'll see what Elevate does, and it does look like CTM has established themselves upstairs, but they still have this pulse to contend with.
Yeah, they've droned him a couple of times. They know he's up there. They're trying to hunt him down now and pin him into certain areas of the site. He is just going to use his heartbeat sensor to try and keep an eye on what's coming his way. Slash inside the freezer did tag him as he sprayed through the wall, and that's enough for Skies to get himself down and away. Using that rotate down, he was up here as long as he could. And well, now Continuum realize he's gone. They have control of this upper floor completely. Can start pressuring down through the floor below. Minute 38 on the clock. Is still plenty of time to get this done, but England is starting to pick off some kills as once again, Glaz is taken out of the picture.
And that's a big thing to have off the board. That's a lot of firepower. And Glaz, not only can he see through smokes, and not only does he have the thermal vision, but he also he does a lot of damage. He's got a lot of HP, and he's a good overall operator, even without the new buff.
So, Croc starts to drone in from these outer windows towards the train room itself. Smoke grenades coming up through the hole in piano room, trying to lock some players up there. More information being fed back and forth as MVK starts to make his way down the stairs towards the inside of the site. Now Crocs picks up the first for Continuum as he takes out Geo, but Young will be taken out by England quickly after. MVK pushing the back corridor as his team is falling apart around him. Slash, though, helps to bring it back in with a kill onto England and make it a 3v3. Slash, though, is low now because of it and has to drone back up and above the piano room once more. Skies has come down to join his team and is now starting to heartbeat around. That breaching charge will give an idea to MVK and give some vision this way, but doesn't actually show where Skies is. Zed picks off Necrox now, meaning the defense once again have the advantage. Breach charge is used onto the barbed wire, and MVK and Slash are alone against 3 with no diffuser. Slash picks it up upstairs now as they do push NVK inside the A-bomb site. Zed has an angle through the wall, just misses MVK's head as MVK turns around. And he now switches it up so easily as that. Sky's holding off from inside. Christmas already gives up 1. Slash now drops through the hatch, takes out easily, but he's got 2 to find, 6 seconds on the clock, and he has to plant. Steps on in, and he turns his back to Zed, who will easily clean that up and give Elevate a 3-0 lead.
Now this is not what anyone expected, but there is still a chance for Continuum to make a comeback here. They have to win this defense, though. They have to win this upstairs defense. And now that they've seen the way that Elevate is handling their push into the site by blowing up that wall and smoking it off and just simply planting behind the tables, we have to wonder if they're going to be able to put something in place to counter it. Maybe the Pulse is going to be able to come into red hallway now and C4 under the planter instead of trying to linger on the guys in piano or throw them up through cigar drop. But that was, on the note of that last round, that was just honestly an overall good take from Elevate. Sorry, not a good take from Elevate. A good hold from Elevate. They played extremely passively. They didn't challenge any angles that they didn't need to. And as you saw there at the end, especially MVK, he was looking for somebody to shoot. He kept looking and looking through all these different holes that the defenders had set up to stop him from progressing. And ultimately, he ran out of time to look. He had to force himself into the site, and they hadn't challenged him the whole time. They let him in, and they went for that retake. They went for, okay, yeah, he's already in the site now, but that doesn't matter because he can't do anything, because we have lines of sight into the site from everywhere. So that's kind of what I was talking about earlier, is you really cannot let yourself, as an attacker, just not get those kills, not get those picks before you push in.
So, 3-0 up. Elevate sitting pretty now, and once more on the attack. Bringing themselves a thermite to this top floor now. We saw them do it before, and they opened up, as you say, one of the walls from piano, but not both of them. Not the one to freezer. And
I think that was the right call because it restricts the defenders then. You know, instead of giving them an open book to just go ahead and do whatever the hell they want to with.
Plus, you don't forget, this is also the changed thermite, and the very easy to control recoil now on this thermite too. So
that gun is fantastic. Once
he's got his charges used up, he becomes a killing machine himself. So an even stronger operator than he perhaps was before.
Similar to the L85, if you can hit the headshots with that gun, it's a beast of a gun. But even so, it hits hard too. So if you go for the torso, you're still pretty good shape.
Oh, drones start coming in now as they've opened up the hatch up top again, looking for people moving around the top floor, people out of position, maybe a quick pick off, but no one really exposing themselves to that, despite how mobile Continuum are being. NVK on the basement, or the third floor, lower floor level. Canadian in the middle floor once again. So they are using this to late rotate up and gather information about it, once again using the heartbeat sensor, but Elevate are droning and gathering information of their own, formulating a plan. Doesn't seem to have too much of an idea of where or what it wants to be yet. They can't be far away from it as they're only a minute and 20 from the end of the round.
Yeah, the only progress they've made so far is now they're opening up the red 2 piano wall. That's about it. And there's only a third of the round left. That's cutting it pretty close.
Yeah, NVK now back inside Christmas Corridor looking up towards the bomb site. Inside piano then they have now got Ash and Thermite.
You can see here they're clearly trying to set up for the same exact take that they had last time, which should lead to, I think they're going to have plenty of time for this execution, as long as they get the smokes down, as long as they have the adequate cover and don't get rushed. But also, is Canadian going to be ready for that bomb plant in the same exact corner? And it looks like that's exactly what he's waiting for.
He's expecting it. He's hiding underneath it. He's got NVK covering a lot of his angles and feeding and making sure no one comes down to pick him off. Smoke grenades are coming in.
Is he going to go for the
Is inside the site. Double checks it. Goes for another C4 on up. There's the diffuser down and exposed. Just in case he wasn't dead. Geo, they'll pick up a kill of his own. MVK has fallen, so that was the cover that Canadian had. Skies has picked up Young, so despite the number advantage briefly being in the defense favor, it's quickly swung back the other way. Canadian underneath gets a kill, but as Geo trades him out, as Zed had picked off one more, and with that kill from Easily, Evil Elevate are up to match point.
4-0 on Kafe. Now, I didn't expect a 4-0 at all, and I most certainly did not expect a 4-0 in Elevate's favor. Now, this might just be a case of it being a map that favors Elevate, but it kind of looks like CTM's just kind of losing their engagements, to be completely honest. Now, you saw that round; it got down to I think about 40 seconds, and nobody had shot at anybody at that point. There was no engagements. It was 5v5. The C4 went off on the planner, and then just CTM melted with 30 seconds left on the clock. And all they had to do was wait out those 30 seconds and deny them picking up that bomb. And it just didn't happen. And you have to wonder what's going on with CTM right now, where they're losing these fights.
See, what impressed me most there, though, was that Continuum had adjusted their play. They knew what Elevate were going to do,
Yeah.
and they were ready for it. They had their two players downstairs. The players upstairs stayed safe. They stayed alive. They were there till the last 40 seconds. MVK was covering Canadian. Canadian blew up the planter. MVK, yes, got killed, but then they couldn't kill Canadian. He was still down there again. Despite all of that seemingly going in Continuum's favor, he stopped two separate planters.
And then they
Somehow Elevate managed to very quickly get back on that horse, figure out where and what was going wrong. Oh, that's
Oopsie.
a bit awkward. Sky is taking out Zed to help Continuum along, I suppose, as they try and spawn.
I did that to Zed once. I did that same exact thing to Zed once.
I did it, but it was on purpose.
No, I did it, but I did it in Pro League. In the same setting, I did that to him. Rip Zed. I'm sorry, man. Please forgive me. Anyway, so a man off the board already for Elevate, so that's really good. But moving back to what you were talking about, you're right. So Elevate fell into Continuum's trap that they laid out so perfectly, and then it just didn't matter. It was Elevate, they pushed for it, and they got it. And it was really impressive play by Elevate. I mean, we're talking about CTM like they're doing something wrong, but really we have to attribute a lot of this to Elevate just winning these fights and getting so aggressive at the right moments. And it's honestly incredibly impressive from them.
So, 4v5 with their bandit already dead. That very impactful Roma already dead that they have had in rounds previously. So we'll see if that changes how Continuum play now. Now, they previously ignored that Roma for most of the round anyway. Now, it was a downfall because he did damage to them. This time he won't. Geo, however, has taken out Canadian with that C4 once again. Glad's taken off the table very early on. Both of these teams seem to want to use him because he's very strong and know they need to use him because he's very strong. But apart from that opening round with Canadian before, haven't really actually had him make much of an impact.
Right. Yeah, Glaz has been getting pretty realistic, or pretty systematic. Ooh. That was a nice angle from
That was a
Elevate.
very nice angle from Easily to pick up that kill. Slash has traded Geo straight back, but I almost feel like Ash would have got that kill. MVK would have got that kill on Easily if he had been able to shoot when he first saw Easily. But because the teammate ran across in front of him, he hesitated for a moment.
Absolutely. No, I've been in those I've been in those circumstances quite a bit, and I can definitely agree with you. Sometimes it just gets a little distracting when your teammates are in front of you.
That moment of hesitation gave Easily the opportunity to shoot first. And now they're
Oh,
3v3.
here we go.
Grenade goes into the back of the freezer, does down Slash. They knew, sorry, does down England. They knew he'd be hiding in there. But with that, Easily trades another one back before getting taken out. Necrox and Easily trade with each other. It's now 2v1. Skies is alone against Young and Slash. He could still end this in a 5-0.
Oh no, but it's a pulse from underneath.
Did get an idea of where the plant was coming through. He took down that player, but he may not be aware of it. That was the diffuser player. Now he's going to see Young. Oh, the headshot was moments away, but Young gets the better aim. Just after he finishes the revive, stands on up and seals a first round in the bag for Continuum.
And you could see that little burst after the round had already ended from Young on the wall. That's him saying, all right, here we go. We're waking up now. Things are happening. We have a round on the board. We could progress as a team, hopefully. But we'll see what happens. I want to talk about real quick the fact that that round came so close. And right off the bat, yes, okay, Bandit hadn't been influencing the rounds a whole lot in the past. But moreover, it was still a 4v5. And it came down to a 1 versus 2 in the end. And even a 1, you could say a 1 versus a 1.5 with a down player. I really want to see from Continuum here that they win this upstairs defense, because this is what people consider on Kafe to be the bomb site that is easily defended. There's only so many things you have to think about as a defender here. There's only so many factors you have to factor in. I mean, they need to win this bomb site. I mean, obviously they have to because of the map. You know, it would be over. But moreover, for their mentality's sake, I think they need to bring this back and at least put up a fight in this particular match.
I love that scoreboard there from Elevate. I don't know if you caught it, but
I did not.
They've all got a very even 6, 4, 5 kills apiece. There's no one player stepping up and doing all the work here. There's no There's no Zed. Yes, his roam has been great, but it's not been his roam that's gone around and killed 4 out of 5 players every round. Like, everyone is doing their job very cleanly, very efficiently, to the point where they are all carrying their weight and they are working very well as a squad.
If I could say about, sorry, go ahead.
No, go on. I was going to switch the topic to Mirror. So
if I could say about teamwork and being on a team with numerous, like having been on a team with a lot of people, one thing that I will say is that when you're in that exact situation where you've got every single player contributing and you see the nasty shots that your teammates are hitting, and it just instills so much confidence in you. Personally, like it brings you up, it lifts you up. It's like, my team has got my back and I trust them. And even at the highest level with the best teams who are the best friends, sometimes you can lose that confidence. Sometimes that goes away if your
like
team isn't
when
performing.
When you team kill a teammate at the start of the round?
Well, yeah, but that was on the team that we're talking about being, you know. But yes, no, you're right. I hope they had a good laugh about that. But they probably did.
Easily picking up the opening kill of this round. Slasher goes down, and it is 5v4 once again in favor of Elevate on attack. The Bandit is taken out of the picture. Thankfully, once again, he's one of the less important operators to keep alive as the round begins, because of course all of his gadgets are placed, all of his job is done before it starts. But having that extra gun off the table could really hurt here, and they are already pushing inside Piano now, thanks to that man being dead.
Can I just say, this is the same exact thing that we've seen time and time again from Elevate. There's this strat is...
It ain't broke.
Exactly. But moreover, are you going to be able to counter it this time, TTM? Because you tried last time, and it worked. Your trap worked.
Well, they tried, right? And
early.
they did this time. Canadian was underneath Zed, knew they were going to come into Piano, C4s him straight out of the picture. They've also brought the mirror, which they haven't had in the previous rounds.
Right.
And he has that sightline into Piano like he did before. Sorry, like they never had before.
Yeah.
He just opened that mirror window. We heard it there just as we switched away from her. So he also now has a fire line into the Piano room as well. So they are changing their defense, and down to a minute on the clock, Elevate do seem a little bit more lost now than they did do before. And they're losing more players. As Young as another C4 kill onto England. That was a different mirror window.
This information coming from the Mira is winning them this round, straight up. I think, honestly, I think that pulse from below might have even been a Mira call, because that was in Mira's line of sight. It could have been the pulse, but either way, the information game here for CTM.
I'm sure she called that the wall was blown.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah, he heartbeat for the
He was
precision,
ready
but
for
yeah,
it.
it's definitely a combination of both. One mirror window you see open there into the freezer, so they've got to be cautious of that. Mirror herself is actually on the other wall next to it. Jaeger in the corridor at the backside, and
Ooh.
Blueprints does down, or get downed rather, by Gio before killing him, but Necrox and Young quickly clean up the 2 remaining headshots and get Continuum one more round.
And here's the CTM that we all expect to see. That shot that Jaeger hit in that hall, we didn't get to see it, but he should not have won that engagement. He shot, I think there were 3 bullets coming out of the rifle of the attacker there, and then he just hit that snap headshot, that one tap onto the attacker's head. Got downed, but ended up trading it, and it put him in the advantage. That's what we expect to see from CTM. That's what we want. And now we're in 2-4. 2 rounds in a row. Obviously, it's not back in it yet, but they're getting there.
They are onto defense again now. Elevate, they're going back up into that top floor location, something they've been very successful with in their previous few attempts when they weren't killing each other. So if they do play this round out with a full 5 players back on the board, we'll have to see what Continuum have done and learnt. Because, to be fair, even the last round which they did win, yes, they were 4v5, but other than that, they changed nothing about their own play, really. They did the same thing they did. Got away with it because there was 1 less player and they ended up in a 2v1. But if that was a 2v2 at that point, one of them was down by that C4, and that could have given that say, remaining bandit an easy cleanup for the last round. Like that lack of player was a big impact. I didn't feel like Continuum really changed much else around the way they attacked that.
No, I completely agree. And as I stated when that round was over, it's like it shouldn't have been that close, CTM. It should have been a lot more definitive. You're starting the round out with the player up. You didn't even have to shoot him. They shot him for you. But now, moving into this round, I really want to see if how they're going to change, adapt their attack. They have to. They can't just do the same thing over and over again. They didn't bring a thermite, so they're not going to try and mimic what Elevate has been doing, which has been reliably working. And they haven't changed pretty much. I don't think they've changed much of anything about their lineup, to be honest.
No, not really. So let's see how they choose to use it instead. Hatches opened up nice and early again. Drones going down through, checking from below, checking the staircases.
And they're setting up these claymores to try and watch the runouts. Now that's pretty much all that both these teams have been doing that this whole time, and I mean it's very predictable. But now 2 minutes on the clock. They haven't done a lot as far as hunting roamers, and now they've got to push into Piano with a Pulse still sitting down in train, and he's completely unchallenged as of this moment. He is nice and tucked away in his little train, and he can pounce at any moment. And anyone who comes into Piano, and he's got his prey in sight, and he looks like he's getting ready to C4. Oh, but the drone sees him.
Still repelling, so it's not quite good to go with it yet. But yes, that drone did see him, so now they know the idea is there, and of course they should do. They used that very same plan themselves.
Yes.
Not moments ago. So those heartbeats are now being picked up inside Piano, but of course when they're on the piano itself, that's an indestructible lump of floor. So they're keeping themselves aware and mobile while they do know he is underneath, and he is of course feeding information to his team. He's thinking about this window, but of course there's Claymore. Does change his mind just at the right moment, as the drone did spot him heading that direction.
He is wasting a ton of time.
Yeah, they are wasting a lot of time droning for him here, and actually they may have think he's gone now. Yeah, here we go, Necrox is coming in. He thinks that Pulse has moved on, but he is going to be wrong, and Jiho gets the headshot onto Necrox and takes him out. Not only was the time wasted, the kill was gained, and now Pulse is back to having free roam of that floor underneath the very, very destructible piano.
There's only 1 minute left, guys. Come on.
Easily taken out by Canadian, so we do start to have a little bit back in Continuum's favor. Another one coming on through. He's missing a lot of these shots. The smoke will get away with it. The C4 has been used by the Pulse. Canadian will fall, and the C4 got no kill. But England's shotgun is there. The plant did go through. Geo trades out Slash after Young has finished off England. It's back to a 3v2, but Skies is downed. He's going to get revived up, so it is now back to 3v2 solidly. Young just narrowly escapes the backside of Geo's bullets as they're pushing back into the bar. NVK makes it a 2v2 as Zed will fall. Firing in towards the freezer now. He's going to see his feet coming on through. Geo unsure, cautious of where these two are, loses track of Young and will pay for it with his life. Skies is now in a 1v2 and is being cornered in from both sides. Despite being on the defense here with the bomb down, this is a very aggressive play from Continuum. This C4 will miss. They've fallen back on now, and NVK and Young clean up Geo and Skies with a beautifully played after plan to give Continuum 4 rounds to 3.
And now that's 3 rounds in a row for Continuum now. It's looking good for them, but each of one of these rounds is close. This is the sort of close, though, that we expected to see from the get-go, that we wanted it to be a close round match. But at the beginning, there was just a steamroll, and now we're seeing Continuum put up a fight. But every round they win is two people alive or one person alive, and it's scary.
Well, to be fair, this is Continuum. They normally do it a little bit quicker than 4 rounds, but it takes them a while to feel out their opponents, learn their opponents, and then you play around their opponents, right?
No, you're
no
totally
matter
right.
how much scrimming, no matter how much planning, they always have to play a couple of rounds against their team, lose them perhaps, or marginally win them just about before they come back and go, all right, we got your number now. This is our game. And then
because they're the counter strat team. They're the read the other guy's team. You're right. You're absolutely right. And this is definitely seeming like it is that sort of situation where CTM is starting to figure out Elevate, where they've got their number, as you said, and they're starting to play off of them. Will it work out for them, though, on their first time trying to defend Train Reel? Because we haven't seen this yet, and they don't know how Elevate's going to handle this particular attack. Continuum's been defending upstairs this entire time because they haven't been, as of until recently, unable to win it. So now Elevate's got their one last chance to keep this from going into overtime by locking it out on the one particular site that Continuum has, as of yet, to defend. Or they haven't defended it yet.
The question is, though, will the lack of information help Elevate, or will it help Continue? They are bringing that mirror back to the table. The information she garnered them last round did a lot of work for them. However, young players, they have switched up who it is that is playing the operator. If that changes a whole lot, we'll have to wait and see. Desert Eagle coming out from Young to make a couple of holes in the wall to give him a different angle to look through and be aware of. The rest of his team hold firm and cautiously on the upper floor. Elevator got to try and find their way in.
I like this mirror presence upstairs. This is going to give them a lot of dominance, a lot of a hard hold. Now, I was talking about earlier how I would prefer to see the piano guys when they're trying to defend downstairs play a little bit more dynamically and try to fall off, but I like the idea of the mirror. It instills a lot of fear in the attackers. It implies that they can't really repel in without being met by a kind of a one-way peek from Mira.
So, drones do go in and find her in there, so now they know Mira is inside that freezer. But they have chosen to do not a whole lot about it at the moment, as they dropped in through red stairs and start to focus on different sides of the fight. C4 will go off, up and around, not do anything too serious. Slash, I believe, threw that into Cigar. As he is now trying to spray through the wall next to that mirror window onto this Hibana, who has already got the hatch open. Didn't take a whole lot of damage from that. Slash comes through again. He actually loses that fight easily with a very important headshot onto these players upstairs. The diffuser is still hanging on some windows outside. Canadian down below. There is a smoke inside the train room. The pressure's coming down, though, and MVK will relieve it a little bit by taking out Geo. He's still upstairs on this top floor. Easily is now going to be the man to try and hunt him. He's bringing Skies and Zed up here with him. They know roughly where the man is. They are trying to focus on this through. Easily switches to the secondary. Peeks on around the corner. Flashbang comes over. MVK doesn't get flashed at all, and he will take easily out with it. Keeps the move on forward now. Skies inside the piano room is currently hidden behind the wall. The drone will go down as Canadian takes Skies out from up and above. 4v2 is Elevate's last hope to keep this away from overtime. Zed picks up one quick shot. Doesn't see Necrox on that side. Sees him this time around, but will fall down to Necrox all the same, as England will trade MVK back. He is now in a 1v2. Necrox on the other side of this wall, and he knows it. Smoke grenades aren't going to go out as the trophy system is there, but now he knows he's inside. The plant is going to go down,
10 seconds remaining.
and they're pushing in from both sides, and it's an easy cleanup for Continuum to force us to overtime.
So that was 4 rounds in a row for Continuum. That was the definition of we've got your number now, look out. An excellent defense on Train. Again, that is their first time attempting that particular defense, so it's fantastic that they managed to pull it off, given that they weren't sure exactly how Elevate was going to handle the attack. And they did a pretty good job of it. I was a little worried when Slash lost that engagement to the Hibana upstairs, given that that was kind of a crucial, kind of a linchpin sort of roamer. But MVK, in the end, managed to pull it out and just do both of their jobs by himself. He completely dealt with all of those guys who tried to challenge him as a roamer and did a fantastic job of holding upstairs, well, half of upstairs.
So, the core scores are very different there from Continuum to where we last looked at them.
Yeah.
Not a single
It used to be
point in sight.
I think it used to be Canadian had like 6 kills, and then everyone else had 1 or 2. Was what was happening.
Yeah. But as it is now, we're back to a 4v4. Elevator onto defense, and like before, they have sent that pulse downstairs to start making loads of holes in windows, and that's what he's doing. But he then didn't play downstairs. He went and played upstairs, and they sent the bandit down there.
Yeah.
So they saw him making holes, they saw him opening up, and then all these drones that were pre-placed by Continuum saw him go back upstairs again. So they thought they were okay, and they ignored the bottom floor. Then a bandit came out and punished them for it. They're not going to make that same mistake again.
No.
Defender has left the designated staging area.
Geo throws a camera outside in a slightly different location, so we'll see if he gets found or not, as the Continuum attack starts to take shape and approach the building. Now, once again, of course, on that top floor, and they are playing this just as mobile as they were before, but with everyone on the upper floors this time, no one down on the lower.
This is the crucial moment for both of these teams. Now, we saw 4 rounds in a row for Elevate, and then we saw 4 rounds in a row for CTM. But now we are in the mix-up period. The chance where both of these teams to put their foot down and be like, okay, this is our match. This is our map. We will take this all the way. And see who manages to take it further. It's a pretty standard attack so far from CTM, and exactly what we expect from Elevate as well. Nothing really unpredictable coming from either of these teams. And they're taking a little bit of time trying to get into that piano, and Pulse is looking for a C4?
Yeah, he saw them out there through C4, but he was a bit late for it.
I think that might be a waste, to be honest, because yeah, okay, you could try to force out a C4 on the guys who are playing on balcony, but also now you're worthless if they try to plant.
Well, doesn't matter. Geo has picked up one of the kills and given them that man advantage.
There it is.
He can still shoot from the floor below, and he did have Zed nearby. So
well, yes, yeah, but he's not Pulse with a C4 from underneath.
Yeah,
it's sort of deadly.
So he does take away some of that threat. Do you want me to smoke that door? Yes, smoke that door. I'll look through it with the smoke grenades. So the smokes are coming in. Glass is having a look through to see what's waiting for him. And his team doesn't see a single thing. In he comes.
The way we're seeing Canadian use this Glass right now is what we've seen with Montaigne in the past. Is you've got this unstoppable force.
That hurt England. That hurt him a lot. C4 is going to miss from below this time around. Canadian up and over the bar, coming on in. The smoke grenade comes out, and he is walking straight through it. England comes around the corner and wins the fight. That's big. Young has taken down Zed elsewhere, but as England comes around, MVK will kill him, but get traded down himself. So he is down for the count. 3v2 standing up players, but a great shot from Young takes easily down and makes it a 2v2 with MVK still on the floor. They haven't found a chance to revive him yet. Young's dancing back this way and has the diffuser in hand. 30 seconds on the clock. He's unsure about where to go, but he's got 30 seconds, so he'll drone. Geo and Skies are up. Young's drone comes on through, sees Geo sitting right here on the blueprint spot. That's given them a chance to revive up MVK now, and they're back to a 3v2. 15 seconds to go though. Pre-fire coming around as MVK gets up and immediately kills Skies. He's now around behind Geo. Will fall down for this one, but in a Crocs does what he needs once Geo's pinned in the corner and give Continuum their 5th round in a row.
Wow, that was an incredibly tense round. Both of these teams showing up, hitting their shots. A little bit of an upset, or kind of a mistake by Canadian when he was pushing into that cooler. He knew where the smoke was. He just couldn't hit the shots, and that's when a lot of players will say, "Okay, that's why I don't like DMRs. That's why I don't like the semi-auto. Is because with a fully automatic rifle, you could spray and you can expect at least one of your shots to hit. Smoke only had 1 HP. It would have only taken 1 bullet. It just barely missed." But again, I want to come back to the way they were using Glass. And it is pretty much the same way we've seen Montaigne used, but more deadly because you're instead of being indestructible, you're kind of invisible. But also, instead, the trade-off in your favor is that you have a high-powered rifle with which to shoot people. So it's a lot less of a, okay, we have to get up right next to him and pistol him down, and more of a, we have range and options to work with here. And I think that that's probably why we're seeing from both of these teams Glass instead of Montaigne. And I think maybe going into the future, we might see that as just being the baseline meta for all teams. We'll see. I think that Montaigne's going to be favored a lot more on maps like Clubhouse for just getting those plants down. And on other maps that are like Kafe, for example, where there's you know, more angles to play, I feel, and more crossfires that you can establish on, on an operator like Montaigne, I think we're going to see more glass. But moving into this round, it's the same exact thing we've been seeing on all these defenses. They're opening up all the windows, and we've got that Mira now coming in from Continuum, which has been working fantastically for them so far. I'm guessing we're going to see Elevate put some claymores on this balcony and then go up to the roof, try and move their way in through red stairs, open up the red stairs to piano wall, and then open up the piano to wow.
Nice shot, Zed takes MVK down through Sliver. That very nice standout yellow operator. Helped pick off the Jaeger, who was trying to aggressively look through these bakery windows.
That's a big pick. MVK being off the board this early. Oh, not even 1 minute progressed so far.
Any player off the board this early, to be fair.
Yeah, definitely.
It's a big impact, especially when you know it's a roamer and you now can feel a bit safer on the floors below. They are still, of course, droning it. They've got to feel better about it now. Canadian peeking on out as he sees the drones come through. He does now have to duck away and go for a run, as he has been shaken out of that spot. But by being there, by causing the delay, it has meant that Elevate have to rethink going down that drop hatch just yet. They are still unsure about going on it.
You can see clearly from MVK and Canadian both that CTM has made the call, okay guys, be more aggressive. They're trying to go for those aggressive picks as they attempted to. And it didn't work out for the first time, didn't work out for the second time. Who knows, maybe it'll work out for them the third time. And now Elevate has opened up the piano wall, and they're obviously going to be moving forward with their progression as they have every single one of these attack rounds on upstairs to try and open up the piano to bar wall. And then they're going to lay down smokes and try to go for a plant. Now it's up to Canadian with this C4 to try and stop that. And as well, Mira with her Mira windows to try and slow them down at least.
She did the same as she did before. Opened one into freezer and then stands on the other one. C4 still in Canadian's hands. He's tracking the diffuser in and through the train room. Doesn't need to track it anymore. It's straight up killed off by Young, but he'll be traded back by Geo. Necrox though picks off Zed elsewhere. 3v3 once again. However, Geo and Easily are stuck on the roof. Skies is inside right now. He's in a position he can do any damage though, so he has to wait for his team to come and join him. So he's going to drone and gather some more information while he does it. Spots Necrox just before his drone gets killed off. Smokes across the bar, does take a little bit of damage as he throws it. Looking in through the freezer, looking through this mirror windows. Necrox is dancing back and forth. Both of them going to miss each other by millimeters this time around, but Gio's going to push in towards the toilet. Does pick off one before Canadian C4 takes off easily from below. Back to a 2v2. Necrox narrowly misses Gio's bullets, but won't miss his shots himself that time. Skies is now in a 1v2.
Ooh.
Doesn't matter, Necrox gets him. And that is map number 1. 6 rounds on the trot. Continuum take the win.
Just wow, Continuum. Okay, well, at first we were saying wow, Continuum, and now we're saying wow, Continuum, because 6 rounds in a row, that's impressive no matter who you're playing against or in what circumstance, no matter who you are even. That was surely something.
That's quite a way to do it. Make your mark, show you why the World Championship title sits on your balcony.
And you can clearly see here, it looks like Slashug struggling a little bit with his new roster. Not really the show that we wanted for his first map.
I mean, he was still a useful operator.
Oh,
He still
absolutely.
won. He was still there. He still made his mark. We are going to head over onto Oregon, which is a lot more Montaigne favor. We may be seeing him back.
But will we
I don't
see
know. I'm
Montaigne? Neither of us know, really. It seems like both these teams, it could be that they're trying to phase in just a pure glass meta. It's entirely possible. I don't think so. I think that it's going to be situationally picked. So maybe, like you said, on Oregon, maybe this is going to be the map where we start seeing more Montaigne play. And I was really curious. I mean, I was kind of surprised. I got the Glass pick. I got replacing Montaigne with Glass, but I was kind of surprised we didn't see any Montaigne at all. Sometimes when things aren't working, you know, like for Continuum, for example, they were down 4 rounds. Sometimes when that's not working for you, maybe you want to throw a curveball and use something different, like maybe a Montaigne. And here was that round where they laid that trap and the TK. Oh, boy. And some of the highlights from the last match. A really great match overall, but CTM 6 rounds in a row. Both these teams played incredibly smart games. I just want to say that right off the bat. Both of them played, you know, really amazing strats. They both had an idea of what the other team was doing, and it was really kind of surprising to me that CTM was managed to pull out 6 rounds in a row. I mean, it was surprising for everyone, right? But the fact that Elevate was on the precipice of just ending it, getting their first map under their belt, and they just couldn't push it forward. Again, I feel like that's the sort of situation where, okay, maybe you're on the downside as Continuum, you bring out a Montaigne, try to mix it up. Or maybe you're on the downside as Elevate, you start losing those rounds, bring out a Montaigne, try to mix it up. Throw something into the bowl that you aren't expecting, and Continuum did that with Mira, but why not Montaigne? I don't know.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. As you mentioned, that Glasmeta could still work here, especially the way they were using it. It's
Yeah.
a similar job, has the more firepower. We'll wait and see. Still a lot of smokes that can be brought to the table with other operators. Then we're looking at defending Oregon. We saw in the qualifiers to get back into the season Pro League very new ideas at how to make that work. When defending the basement, sticking 3 to 4 players in the upper floors using Castle to completely split the site and the map.
Yeah, Oregon is one of those maps where, especially on the basement, as you said, it's very dynamic. You can do so many things with it. It's a little bit more static upstairs. You can play people underneath the site or towards Junk Tower, and that's okay. You can do that, but you're risking something with that, and it's also pretty predictable. You can play roamers in the basement and over towards meeting hall tower area, but you can get cut off pretty easily as a roamer doing that. But on basement, however, when you're playing, you can keep control of upstairs, the other site itself, and you can also, keep control of meeting and tower while not really exposing yourself as a defender all that much. Play like, for example, tower, player in tower, a player in meeting, a rotation hole into kitchen, and then a hole down into that rotation hole for kitchen from the drop from upstairs, so that a player can play in kids room, and then probably a player in armory over that area. So, and then one player downstairs holding construction push. And that's all you need if you really think about it, because you have all of the bases covered. Then you have lobby covered, so they can't come from there. You have meeting hall covered, so they can't come from there. And you have your guy in construction who's solely the only person holding direct access to the site from the attacking squad. So yes, you can hold from above as on the basement, but it comes in and out. Teams sometimes roll it, sometimes don't. I feel like it's kind of a mix-up strat. It's not as reliable as simply just turtling down in the site. And oftentimes when you come to like Pro League, for example, that's people go for reliability. So I've seen it used, and it's used successfully at that. But I think both these teams are gonna just try to anchor most of the time. I could be wrong. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Of course, if we do have to go to it, a third map will be played on Consulate. Another very flexible map, another very vertical, as you mentioned, map, which you're constantly under threat from different angles.
Everywhere.
Which some parts of Oregon also take that shape too. This kid's bedroom area is possibly something which is constantly under threat from underneath.
Absolutely.
But we'll wait and watch. We've also seen Elevate, as you mentioned on Chalet, pick things like Boss, bomb sites that were unpredictable and unexpected.
Well, when they were on
dining
Xbox,
room and
I don't know.
kitchen on the Xbox tournament in here on Oregon a couple of times around. Now, yeah, it plays differently. The world is different. But if anyone's going to try and bring those things over, bring that strategy over, Elevate could be the ones to do it. And Lord knows Zed likes to play those weird and wonderful things from time to time too.
Zed is definitely the weirdo when it comes to strats. He is the, I would call him the innovative player. He's the guy who likes to do things that are just different. He's the heavy roamer, the far out guy, and as a strategist, he comes up with weird stuff, and it often works. Yeah, Caviera. He is the guy who plays Cav in Pro League. She's not viable. She doesn't help you at all in Pro League. You already know. But Zed makes him work.
That's
kind of makes him work.
He has a theory for making her work. He plays her to mixed success.
Yeah, I mean, okay. He's the guy who does what he wants to do in the Pro League. He just whether it works or not, he'll go for that. He'll go for that option. He'll go for the weird thing that people don't expect. That's kind of just always been him. But
so, talking ops, talking Caviera, talking things we expect to see, didn't expect to see, and were surprised by. A lot of people thought we were going to see Jackal everywhere.
But
we're not.
No, we're not going to see Jackal everywhere.
Tell them why.
Okay, so let's go over Jackal. What does he bring to the table? Okay, he makes it so you can hunt roamers efficiently, right? Not really. Drones are more efficient, way more efficient. And when you got a team that's gonna coordinate with you to hunt those roamers down, like you've got a player, an Ash player, and you've got a Thermite, and he's gonna drone for that Ash player, kill the roamer. That is way more efficient than a Jackal, and it's less dangerous than a Jackal. And moreover, other than that, other than hunting the roamer, which is a small part of a round, arguably a big part, especially in like what we saw in that Kafe map, that the roamer was a pretty big factor. Other than that, he doesn't bring anything to the table. He brings a really powerful gun, and that's just it's not a lot. And I think a lot of what people were expecting to see, the reason people were expecting to see him brought to the Pro League was because it gives you that information, right? And it's just information you already have in Pro League. Your teammates are providing that for you with drones and calls, and this information gets circulated. They already know there's a roamer. They may not know exactly where, but they already know. And Jackal doesn't really provide you that anything more. He doesn't. He kind of seems like he does, but he really doesn't. And then moreover, it's the same thing with Cav. Cav gives you actual wall hacks on everyone on the other team for a number of seconds, right? But why isn't she used? It's because that information is already apparent to Pro League players. They already know. They have the information being gathered by all their different teammates who are making calls and sharing this with each other. And to get an interrogation, you have to force yourself on top of it. And then, okay, in Pro League, as soon as someone goes down, they're going, okay, I'm down, and Cav got me down. And everybody's like, okay, we got to either kill Cav or kill that guy on the floor. There's no interrogation. It's not going to happen. We've seen it happen. We've seen Pro League interrogations, but they're far and few between.
And they were on to some of the weakest teams in the league for a reason.
Arguably some of the absolutely worst teams. And Jackal's kind of the same. He's kind of the same, and just less efficient and on attack. And other than that, just a good gun. It's not. It used to be in Season 1 that having just a good gun was good enough to get you picked in Pro League. FAMAS Twitch. Way back, she just wasn't that useful. She only had the one drone, and it was really loud, and it was slower, and it didn't shoot as far. And it just overall wasn't as good of a pick. But people still picked her because she had the FAMAS. And now we've got to the point where every single pick is strategic. Every single operator brings something to the team. And Jackal doesn't. He doesn't bring anything to the team. No.
At all.
Mira does.
Mira does,
She's
and we're going to see
useful.
Mira a lot, especially here on Oregon, I believe. The basement, Elevate used it in the qualifiers, used Mira in the basement a fair bit, too. So we expect we'll see her.
And we saw Continuum can turn the map around because they were bringing that Mira. They were getting that information that they desperately needed.
Yeah, so we'll see how and where and what they do that. We are just waiting for one player to return to the lobby. So while we do that, I think we're going to run to a short break to find out what it is and give him a chance to get on in. When we do come back, it will be map number 2 between Continuum and Elevate. It will be Oregon to decide, are they done here? Is this the end of the first Group A game? Or are we going on to our third map, Continuum? Find out after this short break. Or not, maybe not. Well,
I guess
give
not.
him a moment or two. I heard something in my ears. Guess it wasn't what I thought it was. But that will happen in a moment, as and when we are good and ready. But we are looking through. We're looking at Oregon. We're looking at Continuum. And yeah, they took a little bit of time to get to where they needed to be. And then they did their anti-stratting and they gave it through. But Elevator are nothing to be sniffed at. Their first game, which everyone expected to just go horribly against them, they come out. They pick up 4 rounds very, very quickly.
I think it was an understanding. I think it was Elevate knew that they needed to get on the board early because Continuum is that Counter-Strike team. As you said, they just know. Eventually they know. They get your number and they write it down on a piece of paper and they spread it through the team and now everybody knows and oh God, you're losing rounds now. They knew that was going to happen. And they were like, okay, aggressively, let's get these rounds on the board. We're just jumping into the match. It's just happening, guys. Here we go. Let's go.
Never mind. That explains it. They're in, they're good, we're off, and we are in to map number 2. It is Oregon, it is Continuum versus Elevate again. Continuum are starting us out here on attack, and as their operators start to shape up, it's looking very familiar.
Oh, look at that, a Glaz and no Montaigne. And on the other team, it's pretty much the predictable lineup I was kind of expecting. Oh, no. They're going to be defending upstairs. Now, this is what we've been seeing. Oh, okay, a lot of teams, I know what they're thinking. A lot of players, I know what you're thinking. We like to defend basement because it's the safer site. It's got more protection. There's less exposed. No. This is the safer site. It's the less dynamic site. It gives you the attackers less options. And I know it doesn't really seem that way, but it honestly is. And at the very beginning, when Oregon was being analyzed, everybody was like, okay, the basement is the basement. It's the bank basement. You know, it's the clubhouse basement. It's what you would expect, but it's really not. It's so much more open than that. And so a lot of teams are favoring on their first defense to go upstairs because of that, because it's a lot more predictable. It's a lot more of a set path. So the points of contention are much fewer. And we'll see if it works for Elevate here. It looks like they're going to try and have an extension when it comes to their upstairs here. They're taking control of attic on their side, reinforcing it on the tower side. So that way, if somebody roaming in meeting hall gets exposed or caught out, and they cut him off from lobby, he can still climb up the attic ladder and retreat back into sight. MVK getting extremely aggressive, by the way, straight into construction. Doesn't expect anyone to be there. It's a good thing he's not playing against Falco because there isn't anyone there, and he's just taking control of tower. I guess he wants to get rid of this. And maybe he figured they wouldn't reinforce attic as quickly as they did.
Or at least he was hoping such a thing, yeah. He then does have a drone inside the meeting room, and that will tell him that Skies is in there, but it goes horribly wrong. When Skies kills him out, Skies tries to fall back to the safety to not get traded, and he falls straight into the arms of Slash. So Slash will manage to get back to the tower and revive NVK, and all the hard work Skies did to get that down will go away.
And see, this is what I'm talking about, what I talked about earlier, where yeah, you can roam in meeting, you can roam in tower, but a good team is going to cut you off. And MVK, CTM, they stepped up and did it in a way I've never even seen before. They opened up, they went in straight into tower immediately, and they opened up the wall into meeting hall, so that the one retreat that makes roaming and meeting valuable, which is the ladder leading into attic back into site, is completely cut off. And thus roaming is not possible in meeting hall.
What was the point of those Hibana charges?
Okay, oh, they were trying to cut off the defenders who might have been playing underneath the site to deny them from grenading up into the site, or moreover, deny them once they come inside with the C4 from underneath. So those Hibana charges open up visibility completely for somebody playing underneath.
But they droned it all and they killed the roamer.
Yeah, they did do that. I guess they're just being thorough. It's probably just part of their regime, part of their take, that they just figured, hey, we don't need to cut this out, because where else are the Hibana charges going to go? They're not attacking from Armory. They're not going to try and open up Closet, clearly. So, me as well, right? And another pick from Canadian onto Zed, their other roamer.
Inside that attic, picked up from above by Canadian. They've also downed England. They're not quite aware of this yet, but MVK's looking for him. Comes around the corner and fires it. Easily will take MVK down, but then Geo has been spotted inside this double room. Easily picks up 2 kills. He's looking for a third one here as he takes Young very low, but Young will peek back and make sure he finishes him off second time round and get the first round on the board for Continuum.
Great round from Continuum, really emphasizing pressure on those roamers, not allowing any of them to exert any of their own onto the flanks of the attacking team. Now, this is a really interesting take for me too, because it's reliant on Elevate peaking the way that they did and roaming the way that they did, because if they hadn't, all Elevate would have had to do was simply be a little bit more passive, play a little bit more on the site, and they would have had a good chance of winning that round. You would notice that the attacking team from CTM didn't have very many grenades, and thus, if Elevate had just anchored a little bit harder, they might have been able to just simply hold the site. But no. I guess maybe CTM just has Elevate's number. Maybe they've scrimmed on this map a lot and they know exactly what Elevate is going to do, and they can predict it, and they can go for those roamers and just base their entire strat off of Elevate being aggressive, too aggressive. And that was, example of CTM having their number and putting another round on the board for them. Now, again, from Elevate, we are seeing no Montaigne. So this is obviously going to be the common theme with both these teams looking like going into the future. Maybe on every map, for all we know. Maybe Montaigne's outdated. Who knows?
I just find it very weird. Continuum with Slash on using it.
10 seconds to insertion.
I mean, okay. So, yes, he's a good shield player, but again, he's just really an all-round player. You know?
True.
And I think, yeah, I think he's gonna have good luck probably with pretty much anything he picks up. CTM defending upstairs again, or not again, rather for the first time, but as a overall, we're defending upstairs first time. Here we go. They have different rotation holes back into the site. They do have roamers. Theirs are going to be in Armory right now, looks like. And he's going to be peeking at Armory and underneath the site. And he's going to be peeking down into the lobby looking for that push, but it's not going to happen, looks like. And now, Elevate, this is a much older attack. This is from Season 1, Season 2, Season 3. They've been using this forever. It's push into the big bedroom and open up the closet and just go straight into the site, plant right there. It's pretty easily countered, and honestly, I expect CTM to be able to know how to handle this, but it does, in the end, this particular strat very much comes down to just winning your engagements.
See whether or not they can do it, as the wall does get blown open right there by Thermite. And that prompts a slight reposition here from some of the Elevate squads, looking around to see and watch for the Continuum peek outs, which aren't going to come. Continuum staying very, very passive and static, disciplined inside their spots. NVK, the most mobile of them all, as he darts away and hides from a couple of drones that did not spot him, and still tries to play mobile and fast around this kitchen area. He's got that mirror window there to help rotate in towards kitchen and the sidelines into there. But as his team are opening up with the extra couple of kills, Necrox has taken England down.
That's Thermite. That's huge. He did get the closet open, but still a big pick. Yeah,
and now Smoke can use these charges of his own to lock the closet away and keep it sealed up. He's got eyes on the diffuser where it is current position, and he knows he can keep people outside there. But they've brought more downstairs now. Bandits come down to join, and as he comes around the corner, he crouches straight under the scope of Geo to provide another kill for Continuum. So now they're up 5v3 with a minute to go. Skies, Zed, and Easily trying to make this work out. Skies comes around, looks into the closet, and doesn't quite finish Necrox off, takes half his health himself, and then will get the kill the second time around. So, finally a little bit of good news for Elevate, but at 45 seconds to go, they're going to lose Zed as well, as Young's Vector outdoes the DMR. Very, very low health Young's holding there, but thankfully he's 3 armor, so he's going to get away with it. Elevate sending Skies now inside as they start to drone forward. Bandit comes up the back staircase, Skies grabs that one too. Looking to move now in towards the corridor, and it won't work because that Rook is sitting inside the A site. And NVK quickly gets a kill of his own from flanking underneath to end the round.
That was a perfect balance of aggression and passive play from CTM, only pushing when they need to and only pushing when they know they can bait the enemy into one of their teammates. I mean, and again, honestly, again, as I said at the beginning, that strat really just came down to winning the engagement. CTM won their fights, straight up. There's Elevate, they just missed their shots. Everything went in their favor. They got their closet open, or not everything necessarily, they got picked off a little bit, but most of it went in their favor. They got the closet open, but then they just lost their Thermite. They didn't push into it at all because they couldn't, because Smoke was ready for them. With an SMG-11 smokes and a shotgun, you can't really push that, to be honest. And now we're seeing a 2-0 lead for Elevate, or sorry, yeah, for Elevate. No, for Continuum, which is the opposite of what we were seeing at the beginning of the last match. Maybe what we're going to see here is 4 rounds on the map or 4 rounds on the board for Continuum, and then Elevate's going to come back with 6 rounds in a row. We'll see what happens.
Possible. Let's find out. Elevate setting up their defenses from downstairs with a castle and a mirror.
And it looks like we're going to see kind of what we were talking about earlier, a little bit more of an aggressive roaming strat for this basement. They're opening up holes, they're reinforcing upstairs, walls upstairs. They're trying to, yeah, no, look, they're going to castle off, or I think, okay, maybe they're going to castle off the front door. We'll see what happens. And they're going to probably try to have a presence upstairs to deter the attackers a little bit. And this is a common take, what we're seeing from CTM right here. This is exactly what we expect to see. They're going to try and clear from top to bottom, all the way from kids' bedroom, moving over to meeting hall, to try and guarantee themselves that there are no roamers. Now, it's, for example, like on a clubhouse basement hold. Oh, and a pick from Geo on Elevate onto Slash.
Yeah, so it's a good start.
And this is
they're just taken out. They're pushing in through dining hall and through kitchen, trying to get around in from this flanked side on the west.
And this is that aggressive roaming that we were talking about. It's working out for them.
So, Geo, they know he's in here, looking for him. cameras are taken out. He loses the eyes that were covering his backside a little bit faster. 2 minutes on the clock though, and Elevate are hard and firm upstairs now. Still have that man advantage too, so they're going to be comfortable for a little bit longer here, as the attacking Continuum squad need to figure out a way in, need to figure out a way to deal with these guys.
Continuum looks like they're just trying to establish the angles on the roamers that they know to be there. They're just trying to protect all their flanks. And MVK, as I say that, simply runs into Meeting Hall, tries to get the early peek on someone who is playing too passively for him to see. Castle, they probably heard that. He's opening up a hole from attic into the kids' bedroom side of the building on the southwest, and he's going to try and flank from behind now. I'm curious to see if Continuum's going to be able to cut that off. Or he actually, no, he just straight up fell back.
So as we see, Impact and the flashbangs coming out to try and clear the trophy systems, and then the breach charges from MVK taking out that shield in the corridor. It leaves them with a minute left to go on the clock. Still in a 4 versus 5 here, but the attack seems to be thinking and taking shape here for NVK and Continuum. The smokes went out, Glaz is downstairs shooting straight through them, but Zed is still creeping through the meeting hall. Zed looking this way as the plant does get stopped by that smoke grenades, and a beautiful shot from England to get the kill straight afterwards. Zed has been picked off by Necrox upstairs, who was ready for that flank, but as the rest of his team is all dead downstairs, it's going to be tough. NVK picking up 1, 3v2 here as Necrox and NVK now are a pair. Inside the cupboard, England is there, the smoke grenades coming straight down. Picked up the diffuser, but can't land the shots for the next peak. England throws his way. Next man coming down, England's doing the same thing. He does dart the wrong way at the wrong time, and Necrox takes down Skies. But with 7 seconds to go, he's still have to kill 2 now. He's cautious of where one is on the other side of that mirror. Doesn't get ready for the next one, but England is done to do the job anyway. And Elevate grab the round.
There is an example of the mirrors that we were talking about earlier on this particular spot. I think I referenced this particular spot. There's an example of that being ridiculously useful. I think he got 3-4 kills from that spot in particular. That was ridiculous. And it really cemented that hold for them. They did get the picks early with their roamers, but honestly, it all came down to the mirrors. So not the same exact round count as the last map. We are seeing 2-1, so it looks like they're both of these teams are going to be putting up a fight. Elevate not wanting to get eliminated this quickly, and Continuum still trying to push to lock it out in a 2-0. And there's the Mira going into the basement. That's exactly what we expect to see.
It is, as the attack from Elevate is bringing a similar set of operators too.
Glaz, yay.
Yeah, they are setting up their setup. Continuum, they make a vault hole in through laundry, whereas Elevate would make it at ground level so they can just straight crouch through it. That's an interesting thing to note.
It's that's a debate that a lot of people have had for a long time, to be honest, is which is better, a crouch hole or a vault hole? Well, a vault hole forces you into an animation, and sometimes it can be a quick one, sometimes it can be a slow one, depending on how quickly you're moving as an operator. Whereas a crouch hole forces you to crouch, but it only does so for a little bit of time. And I feel personally like a crouch hole is a little bit better because you just crouch for a second, stand back up. But, you know, to each their own, I suppose. They both work.
Attackers are moving out to locate a bomb.
Okay, still setting up for the construction push, and he would be right, as all 5 members of Elevate are spawning over this side.
He's going to be
push through.
He's going to be setting himself up what looks like maybe behind the generator in the construction tunnel itself. Or no. Necrox is just holding it 90 degrees with the shotgun.
Yep, and Young is holding further away as the push is coming down the back staircase.
They have to know Elevate so well to have stacked 3 people for a construction take, and it is clear that Elevate is setting up for a construction take.
Yeah, they are ready to push in through that angle, but they do want to find NVK first. They're not sure where he went, and well, he licked it a long way out. Zed takes a lot of damage there as MVK peeks out that front doorway, so they will now know that he's no longer in the back tower, but Zed merely paid the price for it. Does not have a whole lot of health left.
And they're trying to get the construction take in, they're trying to get that push in, but they're spending a lot of time doing exactly that, and CTM is very patient. They're ready for it. They know it's going to happen. I have to wonder if Elevate's going to try and switch it up and do something different here, because it is clear that CTM has stacked that, and then they just saw it with the drone. They've got 2 people just in construction tunnel alone. maybe don't go construction.
So, see whether they're smart enough to make that decision or not. Minute 30 to go, half of the round still to play. Not a whole lot has been done yet. Zed took a bullet or two. Now regrets it, has been holding this angle the entire time. The rest of his team still droning in and checking the rest of the map. He's the man to call the flank as Canadian takes Geo out of the picture. Trapdoors are going down. NBK around the corner. Oh, that's an important miss from Zed. That's really bad. He was holding that angle for a long, long time, and that was a free kill.
How, man?
As they do lose another teammate to Canadian in the back staircase. Easily this time falls on down. NBK has done his job at the front, knows he doesn't have to worry anymore as England is moving out and back. Zed pushes down for him, and NBK picks him up while it's free and easy, and he's stuck in barbed wire. 2 versus 5 then for Skiers in England. In the old days, we used to see them pull off similar kind of feats, but this time it might be a little bit tougher.
Yeah, they happen to be playing against the Continuum lineup right this second, and it's, you know, every advantage in their favor. 30 seconds on the clock, 5 versus 2. There's not a whole lot of chance here, but they're going to give it an all. They are not giving up yet.
They're going to do what they can. They do lose the diffuser down once more to Canadian. Ash comes charging in, and that's all that they can do there with Skies. So it is a 3 rounds to 1 lead. A beautiful basement defense from Continuum.
I don't... Elevate, what are you thinking? Because you droned them, you saw that they were clearly stacked to hold a construction take, and yet you still pushed... Well, you didn't push directly into construction, you pushed tower. Pushed 3 people down tower, and they all died to bandit. What? And then at the end there, you just walked into crossfire. They need to have a more structured take on that particular bomb site. I understand that the mirrors can be a little bit daunting when it comes to a lobby take, but if you're going to commit to a construction take, either do it or go somewhere else, or like make a decision. But they kind of just half did it, half didn't. You know, they went down tower, but they didn't take construction. I don't know what they were thinking. Anyway, now we're 3-1 in the favor of Continuum, and Elevate's going to be defending upstairs again. Now this is, well, I think they lost this one, right? Yeah, they lost this one. They won their basement defense. So hopefully maybe they can make this work out for them this time. What happened last time was CTM, what they did, they took control of, first of all, they absolutely dominated the roamers. They just got them out of the picture right out the gate. They didn't even bother droning for each other. They just, no roamers, goodbye, because they knew they were going to be there. And then after they took care of the roamers from Meeting Hall Tower side, they progressed straight into kitchen. They, even though there wasn't anyone in kitchen, they completely denied kitchen. They were like, nope, nope, you can't be under the site. Sorry, no access granted. And then just pushed straight in through the window and killed everybody. I mean, okay, so what I want to see, hopefully, from Elevate here, play a little bit more conservative, play a little bit more on the site, and trying to focus on just playing out the time and staying alive.
So they do begin to make their push on in. Canadian, once again on this glass, is making a couple of holes in the wall to give him an angle through, a long angle too, through and out of the showers to the rest of the site. He is going to start droning through the toilets and keep an eye on what's there and see if there's a surprise waiting for him. But there was not this time around, as he starts to reposition now that he's comfortable. The west wing is a little bit cleaner.
And this is the same exact strat that we've seen from them same exact strat we see from CTM a time before. They're pushing their Mira into dining table room, and they're opening up the kitchen wall to give themselves complete visibility on under the site, to deny that C4 from underneath, and moreover to allow them to shoot up from underneath. MVK with a pick onto Zed, getting him right off the board, Zed being one of their main roamers. That's pretty important, especially considering now they have really no presence outside of the site. And I wanted to say again, like, this is why I wanted you to anchor. You're not going to win roaming, but they've still got, okay, they've still got Geo in Armory. It's kind of pseudo roaming, but that's, I don't know, it doesn't really count. Having a player in Armory I think is important, but I don't know.
He's trying to think it up, do what he can.
Elevate is playing a lot more passive here, which is important. They're wasted a whole lot of time on the board. England barely making it back out of that engagement with Young.
Now, as the push comes through, the time is ticking down with a minute to go.
Hi, Slash.
Was just about to stick his head around there as the eyes came off of the angle. Canadian now to peek in the backside. He picks off one, then gets taken out straight away by England. Geo is downed. Sorry, G is still up as Young picks up a kill onto Easily. It is now 2v4 as they are pushing inside the site. Continuum are here to play here as England will fall from his angle inside. Geo right down the corridor. Does get the man with the diffuser. They'll delay this plant a little bit, but now they know exactly where he is and they have 3 eyes to look at him. Slash goes in, picks up the diffuser, gets straight into the B site. Necrox can go underneath now if needs be, and very close by is NVK. And he's going to be the man to grab the kill.
So, Elevate. They did exactly what I asked them to do, and it just didn't work for them. Honestly, looking at this situation, I mean, they had... Okay, Zed was roaming, right? He got picked off early, so that's a man off the board. But other than that, most of their players were pretty much anchoring to the extent that you can on that particular site. They just simply got picked off from the players. I don't know what else to say. Maybe what they could do is try to exert a little bit of pressure on the lower levels. At least distract Continuum from simply pushing in and winning, denying or holding these angles and winning the engagement on the defenders who are sitting in corners waiting for the attackers to come to them. They have to exert aggression as the defensive team, especially on an upstairs defense, but they also have to be passive and hold the side. It's about finding a balance. And unfortunately, Elevate can't find that balance. And now we're on match point and overall matchup point for Elevate versus Continuum.
So, Continuum have been the dominating Continuum that we expected to see all of the last map here at Oregon, but
I'm helping.
there is still a chance here for Elevate to switch things around again. Geo was unsure if he wanted to be the Twitch or the Buck. He's gone with the Buck at the last second, and with the bomb site here, those grenades and those shotgun blasts from underneath can be very, very strong. But look at the setup that Continuum are putting below this site.
You know, one thing I think, when I'm playing a Twitch or having a Twitch play against me in the prep phase and they shoot a Jaeger device, but they sacrifice their drone for a Jaeger device, I think to myself, well, that's not really worth it. But when you get a Twitch drone to open up a mirror device, that throws the entire setup out of whack for the defenders, and that is by far and away worth it. However, I think in this circumstance, on this particular bomb site, Buck is the right call. And I think that Buck's gonna help their team out a lot, hopefully, assuming they can get past that mirror.
That's what they have to find out. And he is currently droning that floor and looking to see what's waiting for him inside the corridor and inside the kitchen. Right now he knows the showers are clear and Skies will momentarily move on in there when he gets the heads up from Geo. Changes his mind actually as he heads around towards a different window. He's got Zed out the backside of Dining now opening that up. He's going to drone in around this way. The pulse is close by and is spraying out towards Easily. It was close, but it's not enough as England does take down Necrox upstairs. So the smoke grenades were going out, but as he threw it, he lost his life. NVK though trades Zed straight back outside that dining room door and is now looking aggressively to find the others here. He sees Geo, but will not get the shot off in time, and Geo gets that kill successfully. He has lost a little bit of health, but continue now to pressure for his team, and as MVK was the last remaining player inside the kitchen, the holes in the floor can start to be made by Geo, but Canadian is still downstairs. He is not on the bomb site, but he is also knocked around the kitchen. He's playing down in the basement as he's got track on Easily outside this front door.
Tick tock, tick tock. Elevate has to make a move here.
The staircase, he's going to come up around underneath now. Geo picks up one, Easily will fall, and that's the one that Canadian was stalking. One player has down, but the plant has gone through, and England picks up an easy double as Canadian steps straight into his fire at his already down teammate.
So we didn't see it, it was off camera, but they did open up the closet and push their way in and just simply get a plant right on the site because there were too many roamers on Continuum's side. And that is the same problem that we saw from Elevate the first time they tried to defend upstairs. So now, okay, are we going to see a comeback from Elevate with that fantastic attack execution under their belts? Or is CTM going to be able to successfully take this downstairs? Now, I'm curious to see, because we're going to see a double mirror setup, same as we saw last time. I'm curious to see how CTM handles that. Are they going to try and go for construction? Are they going to counter it by facing it on frontal, just going straight into it like they did last time? We'll see what happens. Smokes, I think, are probably the most viable counter to a direct frontal assault to a mirror window, but just disable the window, throw a smoke onto it. But who knows?
So we'll see if they can pull it off. Elevate once again, sitting down in that basement, once again bringing the castles to the table. They weren't using it in that crazy kind of splitting the upstairs site, playing the whole meeting room way that a lot of teams do before. They use it in a pretty tame fashion. We'll see if they change it or do that again. But a lot of that, as you mentioned, was all just straight on the mirror window down the front last time around. So unless Continuum can think something up to deal with that, they're not going to have a good day. What they're not bringing, though, is a Glaz to the table. Continuum, that is being an Elevate thing.
Or a Montaigne.
Or a Montaigne.
It's way back to the old meta here, and you kind of wonder if they're doing it intentionally, less for, okay, wow, already a couple shots off the board for Slash. She's down to what looks like about 70 HP, maybe 65. So that's unfortunate, but hey, you know, that is just how the cookie crumbles. Anyway, on the note of Glaz Montaigne, you have to wonder if maybe it's possible that Continuum is intentionally not playing either of them because they just don't want to see them.
Possibility. They are moving on through. There's also, of course, the fact that they're up 4-2.
Yes.
Don't need to show strats that perhaps they don't want to yet. So
Absolutely.
keep it for another day.
They are that team that they come up with strats, but mostly counter strats. So they're good for, you know, dealing with a situation that they're familiar with. So maybe they picked this particular lineup because in some way or another, this particular lineup helps them deal with the mirrors. Maybe that way they can use two thermites on the drop downs and save their Habanas for dealing with the mirrors. Maybe that's the case.
It's very true. So,
Whoa.
50 on the clock, and this is a very quick push from MBK as he's realizing this corridor is clean and open.
They're obviously centered around holding the lobby, which is counter to what CTM's been centered around.
The castle barricades were there to actually keep him inside that corridor. So yes, he can rush down very quickly there, but he can't get much further in. He comes on through, and it's a blind fire through the wall onto the back of Zed. We'll miss the next shots onto that Jaeger, but he's still alive, and that's important here. Gets back towards his team where the wall has been opened. Has another look down the corridor, and it's got a pixel towards that angle. Sky's not going to peek straight into it anytime soon, though.
It's pretty obvious that their counter to the mirrors is to simply avoid them and take through construction. It's working so far for them.
It is. Young now picks up easily, and Slash picks up Skies. That's the basement completely exposed. MVK pushed on through to England, and that's kind of all she wrote. Gio coming down from the front now, and he is gone for the map and the series to head over to Continuum. GGs do come out, and that's 2 maps to 0, as 5 rounds to 1. Oregon ends in, I must admit, a kind of disappointing fashion for Elevate. They were looking great, but that last round was, I don't know what their plan was.
Okay, CTM was obviously centered around exactly what they knew Elevate was going to do, which was attack construction, and that's what they did on that basement hold. And then Elevate seemed as if they were kind of just playing to counter an idea.
Oh, I said James Bond. Zed went Bond.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.